Liz Newell with HGTV and past president of Grace. We are so honored to be here at the Summit Community Center with the founder, Amanda Parrish Block. Amanda, thank you so much for connecting with us and also engaging Summit with our problem of food insecurity. How exactly did you figure out that Summit had this issue?
So Grace, I like to say, is the answer to many questions that I had from my childhood all the way up to 10 years ago when we started to contemplate how we solve the problems of financial insecurity and then food insecurity in our community. Growing up, going to Lincoln School, now Lincoln Hubbard Elementary,
Right.
And seeing classmates show up to school without breakfast, I worried about that. And I remember going to my school principal, Dr. Murphy, and explaining my
Dr.
concerns.
Murphy, oh my goodness.
And his response was, well, their mother should have fed them breakfast, which was, I mean, as remarkable an educator as he was,
Right.
that was the mindset then.
Wow.
Flash forward to 10 years ago, the deputy superintendent of the Summit Schools issued a warning to our community to say, we have a food insecurity crisis. Not enough people have the nutrients that they need, specifically the students.
Right.
Didn't have the nutrients that they needed to grow and thrive and learn.
Right.
And I was then board chair of Bridges and a community vice president of the Summit Junior League. So
Right.
all of the different factors kind of came into sharper focus. And I said, yes, these questions that I've had basically my entire life. Let's reopen these questions and let's go engage with the stakeholders to
Right.
find out how they're seeing the actual issue of food insecurity. And then what are the pain points? Because if we're going to offer something, we want to make sure that it's a remedy that is desired for
Right.
the community.
So it's actually full circle at the Summit Rec because that's where you started with There's No Kids Hungry, I believe it was.
So our pilot year where we did a lot of our research and then fact finding, we did mini projects to
Right.
kind of in response when we would learn about period poverty or snow day food insecurity or food insecurity during April break. We kind of
Right.
would roll out these programs, but most notable, the month of August is when back to school expenses and household expenses and summer expenses converge and more families are in need.
Right.
And so we were really fortunate that we still have our partnership with the Department of Community Programs, but they were our first partner to say, here is our space.
Right.
We see the problem as you see it, and we see merit in offering accessible leisure with nutrient-dense food and supplies, which is
Right.
what we provided. And those 5 Mondays in August, we made Family Fun Night. So people had a reason to come out, and they had dance night and cooking night and game night. But oh, by the way, we
Right.
had our farm stand, which is now one of our hallmarks, where we rescued produce from the Summit Farmers Market. But everybody could have their Jersey fresh corn and their
Right.
tomatoes and their peaches, and we were feeding our families who very much were in need of
Absolutely.
nutrition.
Yeah.
But they were having fun and connecting with friends and maybe even making some new friends along the way.
Correct. So getting back, and that's amazing, and you continue that mission right now. But let's get back to how did you come up with Grace? What does Grace mean?
So that's a thank you for that.
Besides your daughter, your beautiful daughter's name is Grace.
Well, that's part of it, right? My husband and I, we have our wonderful, beautiful 15-year-old daughter,
Yeah.
Grace.
Yes.
And the idea when I named her 15 years ago was, what did I do to merit such an incredible blessing?
Lovely.
And when we think about what we're aspiring to do at Grace, we do believe that it is everyone's birthright to be healthy,
Right.
to be happy, to be secure, to feel that they belong in our community. And so from that first family fun night, maybe even that first supply drop-off that we did in January of that year, that has always been sort of our true north. And so with that, we, at the end of that August pilot program, we said, okay, we have our data, we're going to figure out next steps. And the family said, no, we need you to keep going. We need your help now.
Right.
And so we upheld that promise. And luckily, Central Presbyterian and Christ Church offered us space so that we could fulfill that promise of consistent support.
Lovely. Now, tell the audience what GRACE stands for.
Pardon me. Yes, GRACE stands for Giving and Receiving Assistance for Our Community's Essentials. So when I was contemplating what it is that we're aspiring to do, yes, food is community, food is essential, but we always aspired to being a full network of stabilization for our community.
Yeah.
And so when I was contemplating it being everyone's birthright to be healthy, to be secure, to be happy and included in our community, the word GRACE came to mind. It's the very best name I know, and we had to give it to this organization as well.
Yes, and it's taken like definitely a hold of the community, which is wonderful. Now, tell me about COVID and how GRACE has evolved. Because when I started volunteering with the Togetherhood with the Y, that's how I met you at one of those family fun nights.
Yes.
I joined then the Junior League. And we used to then go to the community food bank. And it was kind of fun because we would take our cars or small SUVs and be able to secure food for, I don't know, 50, 60, maybe 80 families.
Well, it started there. Yes.
It started there.
Okay. So when we started, we were 20 families in the
Wow.
Guida gym.
Right.
And then that first year, we grew to 40 families.
Okay.
And by the time we outgrew our space at Christ Church, which was in the fall of 2019, we were serving 75 families.
That's what it was.
That
Okay.
winter was brutal.
Yeah.
There was very little snowfall, which means no snow removal jobs, which meant that our numbers grew to 100. And back in those days, we were Summit's best kept secret.
Right.
We were at the Cornog Field House. People would arrive 2 hours in advance. We had full programming, similar in many ways to what we have in the partner lounge, but we did one partner at a time. And so it would be fitness week or medical screenings week.
Right.
And during that winter, we grew to 100 families. And we had our monthly fitness challenge with the YMCA.
Right.
We had a Zumba party, and we were hugging each other, and we were warm, and we were just all so close and happy together. And I looked around, and I thought about the news of COVID, and I thought, we're going to be a hot spot if COVID comes to town. So I excused myself, and I called Overlook Family Medicine, Dr. Susie Kay, and I said, Dr. Kay, I'm really worried about COVID and how close we are as a community. And she said, there are no novel cases right now, so don't worry. Because there we were all together.
Right.
And she said, but if you are worried, go to a socially distanced model and laugh about it later. So that first Tuesday in March of 2020, we were the first organization in town to move to a socially distanced model, just because we all love each other. We're all a little too close for us to really be safe in that circumstance.
Right.
So we moved to a socially distanced model. We went from 100 families to 125 families, and then within 6 weeks, we grew to 525 families by the middle of April of that year.
Right.
As we saw different industries shut down, we saw continual need. And as we were planning for the shutdown with the Summit Schools, before the Summit Schools announced their closure or their distance learning plan, we wanted to recognize that for every 3 missed paychecks, because we were watching industry shut down, for every 3 missed paychecks, it would take 18 months of recovery for each household, unless they experience another hardship, and then it's additional time for financial recovery. So we knew we needed to get the supports in place during COVID so that we could act and support our families as they were in need. These families didn't have a way necessarily to earn sufficient wage with their industries shutting down. And then it was the double whammy of some of their household members were essential workers. And so no matter what, they still had to go out. And so we were sending supplies to those who were struck with COVID, and we were making sure that everyone in our community had their essentials, which does include nutrient-dense groceries, but then we were able to expand to bathroom tissue, diapers, period supplies, and incontinence supplies.
And it's amazing how we grew from 100 to 500 to now more.
Yes.
But then the other pivotal thing that supported us was the seniors.
Yes.
we are able to connect with the seniors. And tell us how that happens and what happens now with them.
Right. Well, during the socially distanced model, the senior transportation to go to the stores was paused. And so we knew that our seniors needed groceries. And we received a call from the Summit Housing Authority to make sure that our seniors had what they needed. So we started with wellness checks and kind of doing a little needs assessment. And they all were very quick to say that, could we please send food?
Right.
And most of our seniors do still cook for themselves that we
Right.
serve at 12 Chestnut. And so an array of groceries with ingredients was definitely something that they were looking for. And at that time, we were serving about 60 households
Right.
at 12 Chestnut Senior Housing. Today, we did our weekly delivery, which is
Right.
10 households
Okay.
of housebound seniors. Many more of those residents now come into the Summit
is-
Community Center.
Right.
And then on a bi-weekly basis, we have our distribution in place. 12 Chestnut was our first site for going into the community where people are, where they might not be able to come out, either due to the lack of reliable transportation or mobility issues or time constraints.
Right.
We go to them. And so twice a month, at 12 Chestnut, we create a mini distribution with the same food and supplies that we have in the main room
Right.
here. And then we also bring our partners with us. The last distribution, Overlook Oncology Nutrition, did a soup making demonstration
Love
with
it.
the ingredients that we had on offer. And then next week at our next distribution, Sage is going to come and do some life planning and some benefits.
That's wonderful. And that's what I think is very unique with Grace. I remember when we first started, people didn't know what some of the produce was.
Yes.
So, still, but you actually had then a recipe
Yes.
of how to cook it, which is truly like a blessing. And it expanded their knowledge about fresh produce. Then the other thing I know we've done is you expanded to Weaver and Glenwood Place,
Yes.
and also to the Summit Library,
So
correct?
yes, the
Okay.
Summit Library is this coming Monday.
Yeah. So, you're really, it's like you're expanding to all the needs that we need. But how are you able to do all this? Like, do you have paid staff? Do you have volunteers? Like, what's going on?
We are a small but mighty team. I say that in that we have 4 paid staff members, but it's our volunteer force that has always made it so. It's
Right.
only in the past 4 years, little less than half of our history, that we've had paid staff.
Right.
The Summit community members are the ones who have supported this initiative. In fact, all of our volunteers, all of their hours together amount to more than 1,000 hours served every month.
Amazing.
So individuals come
Yeah.
out, students come out who need their community
Yeah.
service
I saw the Girl
hours.
Scouts a couple weeks ago.
Right, yes, the Girl Scouts come out. Different corporations
Yes.
like to do some, team dynamics
Right.
with us.
That's team building.
Those team building exercises. And then we have 40 core volunteers who spend a minimum of 2 hours every single week with us.
Amazing, truly amazing. Now, the patients, you have other volunteers just making deliveries because
Yes.
not everyone can make it to the distribution, which is on Thursdays from 11 to 1 and then 4 to 7. So, how many deliveries do you actually make?
So today we will make 302 deliveries.
Right.
We have 27 different routes, all in Summit. All of our routes are only in Summit,
Right.
and they reach every corner of our community.
Right.
Someone might not realize that in their neighborhood that they too have neighbors who might struggle from time to time and need a delivery, and we're happy to do so with the utmost of discretion and
Right.
dignity.
Yes, and that's what struck me about Grace is everyone. It's a community. It's a family,
Yes.
and no one is considered less than, right? And that's why I just love the model because they can come and pick what they want. Whereas when COVID, we were packing bags and they got what they got.
Right.
but then they can pick and choose.
We fought really hard to bring this back. So from day one in the Guida gym, we were a choice-based model because we truly believe that families know how to nourish themselves. And yes, they might not recognize Japanese turnip, or
I didn't recognize some of it.
or differentiate a mango from a papaya, right? Which are sometimes things that we have. But people know what their families would eat and what would make them feel healthy and whole.
Right.
And so, yes, during COVID, we did have to freeze our choice-based model for a few months just to keep everyone secure, where we drew a square in the blacktop and we would drop the bags and step back, and the community members would pick them up and walk on or drive away in their cars. But as soon as we could, we wanted to go back to the model of really interaction at every different inflection point through the Grace experience, to be received, to have people know their names, to meet our partners, and then as they make their selections, to have someone on the other side of the table to say, this is how I cook these little mini potatoes. Or, what do you recommend that we do with broccoli for the 12th time that we've had it this winter? They're just a way to keep things fresh and keep things connected, because in sharing food, in sharing recipes, we're nourishing each other.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's such a godsend. Now, let's talk about your community partners. So there's quite a few that you mentioned earlier, but I know there's others that are in the wings.
Well, yes. So our community partners, we have a whole world of community partners to make sure that should someone come to us with a specific need, we can refer them accordingly. If someone falls behind in their rent, per se, we do not hold funds for rental arrears, but we have relationships with Family Promise, with Bridges, with Elizabeth Coalition, with the United Way, so that people can solve their problems. Overlook, many different departments of Overlook. We are a part of our constellation. Overlook Family Medicine comes once a month to answer health questions and to enroll people in primary care and charity care, for that matter. Overlook Dental, and then of course KinderSmile Dental, takes care of people's health that way. And Summit Health Cares was here today, and they're one of our longest standing partners to offer blood pressure and A1C screenings. And then the Diabetes Foundation is a new partner with them.
I did notice that today.
Yes,
that's
to
awesome.
ensure if somebody has a diagnosis of diabetes or prediabetes, then not only are they aware of their problem, that they are empowered as to how to care for themselves. And then the Diabetes Foundation is resuming the element that we had pre-COVID of how to access affordable medicine and supplies.
Love it.
Also in the room today, we had NAMI, the National Alliance for Mental Illness, to offer mental health resources. We understand that more people are in need of those resources these days. We have a really robust relationship with Union County Human Services, and Social Services was on hand today. Last week and next week, unfortunately not this week, the County Department of Health Management offers vaccines.
I noticed that last week.
Yes. So those are flu shots, shingles for our seniors, tetanus now that we're gearing up back to work outside again, and measles for those who are adults whose vaccine may not have lasted up until 2025.
Booster.
Yeah, the little booster.
A little booster.
Exactly. So really the idea is that when people come to Grace, sure, they're getting the food and supplies for today, but the health awareness, the financial empowerment, and the personal development are really through our partners. So that could be career development through one of our sponsors. Maybe that's Kenview, that's the City of Summit, and CELUS. Have offered different career opportunities for our people, as has the Turtleback Zoo recently.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful.
So, all of these different forces are what makes a household more resilient during volatile times and more secure.
Absolutely. The other thing that I wanted to touch on is the Summit Lions, and also the coat drives that we have, the Christmas tree or Christmas store, like holiday gifts. Tell us about that. Like, tell us about that, how that happened, because, in the youth lounge here, the last time we had the coat drive, it looked like you were walking to Bloomingdale's.
Right.
It was fabulous.
So we always try to stay ahead of the seasonal needs within our community. And every fall for our entire history, we've been able to receive coats. Now, I will say this year was our best yet by far.
Truly amazing. It looked great.
And so the idea is we have a whole team of volunteers dedicated to ensure that everyone not just has a coat or a jacket, but a coat or a jacket that works for their life. That if they work outside, that it has a hood, that it's waterproof, that it's fitting to, if you're a dog walker, that it's a full length coat,
Right.
or if it fits with what the kids wear at school. So the Coat Boutique, yes, is set up in the youth lounge for a
Yes.
single day, where people come and they're able to select and try on
Right.
a coat that works for them. And then we also do a pop-up Coat Boutique at Summit High School for students who might not have outdoor apparel
Oh,
either.
see, I didn't know that.
And
Very
then,
cool.
yes, and then also during that season, we have our Halloween costume boutique.
Forgot about that
which
as well.
We've also had every October for our entire history. Those costumes are collected throughout the community. The coats we now offer are brand new,
Right.
because what we've noticed is that people need something that will last, that will endure manual labor, that will endure bad weather for at least a season.
Right.
So, and with that, they gave out 700 coats.
My goodness.
And our costume boutique, which is run by our Youth Advisory Council
Right.
of just brilliant and compassionate high school students, and they collect the costumes, set up the boutique at the Cornog Fieldhouse. They
Right.
open that during the weekend so that working families can go and select their costumes, and they outfitted 250 Summit children.
Truly fantastic.
And then lastly, the Holiday Boutique is an incredible gift that the Lions gives to us. So
Right.
I believe they may have started now collecting all of the gifts for the holidays for next year,
Love
for
it.
for December 2025, where they're selecting, or people are donating, and then they figure out a way to sort and merchandise,
Yeah.
so that it truly feels that people are walking into a gift shop to give to their family members.
And I will tell you, the vibe and the energy during that time was lovely, and especially for parents who they're struggling to do things, to be able to give their children whatever needs that they have. I think it's amazing. Tell us about the graduation rate
Yes.
for
So-
Grace families.
I will first tell you about how we register families and how
That's
we
right.
partner with them and how we know about the graduation rate. So at Grace, when a family comes to us, we want to get to know them. It's not just about a transaction, it is a partnership.
Right.
So when people come to Grace, we learn their name. We learn who is in their family, the ages of their family members, and what's going on in their lives. Where do they work? Where do they receive care? Do they receive benefits? What kind of benefits do they receive? Where do their children go to school? Do their children receive free and reduced price or reduced priced meals? And then what are their most urgent needs besides food? Besides what they are sure to get in the next 15 minutes, what is it that we can enable for them so that we're understanding a household's goals based on what they tell us? And then either through the Partner Lounge or through a series of arranged referrals, we are able to work with families. Maybe they lack insurance, and so it's medical bills that brought them to us. Maybe they feel that they need a little bit of more training to advance in their careers, and we can, connect the dots with the American Job Center for them. Or maybe their child is not challenged enough in math class, and they need advocacy with the Summit schools.
Right.
We work with the families so that they feel that they are thriving.
Right.
So they go through our Partner Lounge, and we stay in touch with them. And then we learned that 1 in 4 families graduate to not needing us anymore after 3 months.
That is truly remarkable, because you know what? It's about supporting our community.
Yes.
Right? It's like a lot of times we're like, oh, we're just giving things out, but we're not. We're just giving them the support that they need to get to the next step.
We're a trusted friend.
We are trusted
We're a
friends.
trusted friend with an incredible network of
Yes.
other brilliant, empowered friends
Right.
that can help our families.
Unbelievable. How can people either support Grace, connect with Grace? Like what, and even before that, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
So in 5 years, our hope, first of all, is that we increase our graduation rate.
Right.
That our families who come in either have a tighter turnaround time. It's not 3 months, maybe it's 2 months or a month that they can get themselves to another place. But that we're further in the community, that we know that we're continuing to identify where the needs are and that we go there.
Love it. Love it. Love it. So how can people connect with Grace? How can, like, is it volunteering? Is it like donations? Is it products? Like,
Yes.
what's, like, yes, right.
So we'll take it all. But that's just that. There's always a place for it. There's a place for everyone at Grace. Grace
Awesome.
is our community. So people, regardless of their age, their ability, the amount of time they have, if they would like to be a part of our team, we will find a place for them.
Love it.
So they could volunteer. We have different classes within the Summit schools who come to volunteer with us.
Love it.
They could do a delivery route, which takes about 30 minutes to 45 minutes. Or they could donate if they have things that they feel are still usable, valuable, that they feel that other families could benefit from. We traffic in all kinds of things, from beds,
Right.
especially twin beds that maybe one child has outgrown that we can then pass on to another child, to school supplies, the office supplies, whatever it is that our community needs. We have these magic closets in Summit. We just sort of need to tap into them. And sometimes people need to, say, this is what I have to offer. And chances are we can find a home for those goods, and sometimes outfit a home from those goods.
Absolutely. And you know what? I always call you Amazing Amanda. And that will always continue because you've created such an amazing gift in the city of Summit. You saw a need and you fulfilled and you completed and helped people with the support that they need. Like, we are so grateful as a community. I'm grateful as a board member for Grace and for you. And we'll run like how you can get in touch with Grace and donate and just even come in, just see the well-oiled machine that you've created.
Well, certainly anyone who is interested and they're not sure maybe where they fit, please schedule a visit with us.
Yes.
We're happy to take you through, answer any of your questions, and come and see how this community really cares so beautifully for itself, for the community cares well for the community, and where you might land within this network of Grace.
Yes, thank you so much for inviting us into the Summit Community Center and to seeing Grace in full swing on a distribution day, and just to let us know how the foundation and how it continues to grow. So thank you for your time and continued effort for us.
Thank you. I'm so, first of all, fortunate to have this conversation with you, honored that we get to be here, and really this could only happen here. But
Yes.
because Summit has broken the mold and loved this community into being, we then can take care of each other so well.
Awesome. Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you,
Amazing.
Liz.
Amazing, Amanda.
Liz, you're wonderful. Thank you.
Thank
It's only
you.
because of our community.
Absolutely. Thank you for watching. And we'll actually have another show about other partners in food insecurity. So that will be coming up in a few weeks. Thanks again.